for the first time, the Swans are onward to victory.
Welcome back to A Bevy of Bloods, a fan podcast of the Sydney Swans Football Club.
So to all you loyal Swans out there who just can't get enough of the red and the white,
fluff up your tail feathers and settle in for a potentially biased yarn about all things to do with our beloved Bloods.
G'day there, Signets and Swanlings. Welcome back to A Bevy of Bloods. You're joined, as always, by the crew from the Bevy. I'm Steve. This is Jen.
That's right, you lucky loyal Swans fans. We're here to go over the thrilling win over the Cats. So let's get straight into it. Welcome back to the podcast. If you like what you hear, make sure to give us a like and a follow. Let's get into the quick game recap. Over to you, Stevo.
Yeah, it was another win, wasn't it? Last Saturday down at Cardinia Park in Geelong. Not a happy hunting ground previously. The Swans had some, well, at least one that I can remember, particularly unpleasant result down there lately. But yeah, we knocked them off by 5 points. Final score 6-9-45 was the Cats, and we got 5 points more than them, 7-8-50. So so Jen, what did you think? What was your first impression of it?
I mean, you spoke about this last week, about being nervous when we were 50 points up. I think we can all agree on the way the Cats came out firing in that first quarter, getting a quick 3 goals, 2 to our 1 behind. We were freaking out a little bit. I was sitting on the edge of my seat, but I'm so glad and impressed how the girls came out in the second quarter. And they just played attacking footy. They didn't go into their shells or play defensive mindset, which can happen when you get a little bit behind. They just came out and we put on, 4 goals, 3 or 4 goals, 2 to their 1 behind. And, third quarter was definitely more of an arm wrestle. And then just some of our players stood up. We're going to talk about them later, Morford and Hurley, some of our mature heads, I say that, with Hurley being like 20-something. And then Maloney, Grierson, Van Leeuwen, so many of our players just, stood up, attacked that ball, brought it through the centres. I mean, there were times where it was scrappy and the Cats got on top of us and then we wrestled back and they were peppering us in that fourth. So I think we were really lucky that they weren't as accurate in front of goals as we were. What about you?
Yeah, lucky's the feeling. Hey, it's easy to forget that we were down by 3 goals. The Cats came out of the blocks and belted 3 goals in about, the first 8 or 10 minutes or something. And because it finished so tight and because we finished the game really well, I'd almost forgotten. I went to watch the replay and I'm like, they kicked the first 3 goals of this. And so the Swans, not only did they hang on in a tight one after being challenged late, they also had to claw their way back into the game. So it was a real range of game situations that they're in. And at the end, I think lucky to get away with it. That last shot goes in and it was a draw with a few seconds to go. And we've got a draw instead of a win and 2 points less on the table. And really, we got particularly lucky because we had the ball pinned down in our forward pocket for the last probably couple of minutes before that shot, a goal, because of some really, really good play. And then they got a free kick. I think Laura Gardner gave away a free kick from this new holding the ball interpretation where they're now really, really hot on it. And the Cats were able to break to the open side. They got it through. There was some pretty good corralling. I think Chloe did some really good corralling just to slow them down a little bit, to not give them a perfect pass inside 50. And they got that sort of rush shot rather than a set shot or a bit more space. So some good pressure to stop that really, really rapid transition. Maybe helped that a bit. But yeah, lucky, really lucky.
Really lucky.
Yeah, I'll take it. But yeah, definitely got away with one, I think. But overall, I love how balanced the team's looking on the field. And the contributions that are coming from a range of different players. I mean, the commentators were talking about, and I agree with them, they're talking about like Malloy and Morford and Ham, because they've all had very injury-interrupted last 12 months. And then Zippy Fish also has like really big improvements to the side for 2025. And the ones that I really like, in addition to those ones who are maybe more visible, is what we've been getting from the other players who've come in. So Maloney, Grierson, Pullo and Van Loon have all come in of the season. They're all bankable starters that have played every week. And I think that besides Ella Heads, who we lost to Port, I think it's probably fair to say that all four of these are giving more to the team on a week-to-week basis than we're getting for the people that came in and replaced the ones that were delisted or otherwise traded. And then on top of those four, Reed is holding her own. Lexi Hamilton can't get in the team. Martin is keeping Privatelli out of the side. So that's some really good. That's half a team. If you think of like Malloy, Morfitt, Ham, Fish, those four new players I just named, plus two others who are sort of a bit more fringe but still doing really well, that's 10. It's half a side that we've turned over, and they've really all come together remarkably quickly.
Yeah, totally agree. The structure around the park has just been awesome. When you're down 3 goals, your structures can just break down. The trust can disappear a little bit. The nerves rise. Your skills go off. And credit to them, they came out with full belief, banged on that second quarter, that third quarter, as we said, arm wrestle. And we said it last week, Prasparkas was going to, come out, and geez, did she come out. She's such an amazing player. I think in that third, TK shut her down a lot more than obviously the first and the fourth quarter. And as you said, it was like 9-1 inside 50 in favour of the Cats in that fourth quarter with like 3 minutes to go. So those last two shots from Parry, who that happened to be behind, thank God for us, because they would have won. But as you just talk about, we had players across the park that did you see last minute pressure acts. Like we'll talk about RRD, and Cooper had some amazing tackles. Just they fought to the end, and sometimes literally by the fingernail, just getting that tackle in, slowing them down for 2 seconds, edge of the seat. What about your general view? And then we'll get into your ladder implications, which I know you love.
I do love the ladder, yeah. Now those last few minutes with the AFLW, you start at 17 minutes on the clock and it just runs down. So unless there's a goal or some sort of injury or something, so I think they're pretty much the only two things that will stop the running clock. And then when you get to 2 minutes left, all of a sudden it's fully timed. So they're stopping for ball ups and throw-ins and the whole bit. So you get to that point where you've burnt through a few minutes of time because you can create repeat stoppages, which they did really well. They had some throw-ins and some ball-ups and the clock was ticking like, yeah, okay, we can do this. And all of a sudden you get to bloody 2 minutes and it's like, that doesn't work so much anymore. Yep. It was stressful to watch those last couple of minutes. But I think for the Swans, I mean, to get 3 from 12, which is how many will play altogether, and we talked about 7 wins for finals, I think the Swans have done some really good work early now that it means that things are in their hands. Like if they win the games that they are against roughly evenly matched or weaker opponents, then it's in their hands. If they can get those, and they should get in the finals. That's because they've managed to get these 3 wins on the board straight up. And especially against the Cats in Geelong, which really I don't think many people would have given us a chance of winning that. And it was tight. It was probably the game of the season so far, I think. It was a really, really good game, like 2 very evenly matched teams. But I was thinking about the Cats as well, and this is where the fixture becomes so important and momentum, is that we talked last week about how they had such a rough start. They played North, they played the Crows, and now they've dropped a game at home that they probably expected to win against the Swans. And they've probably now got to win 7 out of 9 to get in the finals, Geelong. And they're a good side. So it's a tough overall scenario.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. I know this is meant to be a Swans podcast, but yeah, I mean, we had a lot of respect for the Cats and all their players, and agree the 3 losses doesn't really show their quality and their mix of players. They've got some real star power there. So I think we snuck away a win there. We didn't remember to do it at the end last week, but we were all talking. We thought the margin would be close, and we were hopeful that we were going to be the ones to get above. But I think we are a little bit surprised, very happy, but skin of our teeth there. So we've got the 3 so far, and then we've got Freo coming up, followed by Collingwood. So as you said, sometimes the fixtures can work in our favour, and being a Bloods, we're happy about it at the moment, aren't we?
Absolutely. I mean, we did get a good run with the draw. I think we went through it in the preseason episode that we play, I think, most of the bottom 6 or even all of the bottom 6 from last year. Collingwood season was a bit of an outlier maybe last year, but still we do have what this means now is we've got some quite winnable games coming up, and if they can just take control and get those wins, then finals are on the table. But flip it, and we have a couple of disappointing losses early up, and we're struggling like Geelong is now, despite being a very decent side.
Any player love you want to throw out there, or some key stats you want to give to our lucky listeners?
This was one number. This isn't really a pure footy stat, this one, but one that I did like was the number 7. Chloe kicked 7 goals last week against the Suns and went on an absolute rampage. And this week, the Swans got 7 goals, and they were kicked by 7 different players. Chloe kicked 1. She, I think, had two goal assists, at least that I can remember, two direct goal assists and a few other score involvements. But yeah, we didn't rely on Chloe to kick a massive score this week, and she kicked 4 in the first week as well. So we didn't need Chloe against a strong team too. That's the best opposition that we've had so far, Geelong, and didn't need Chloe to dominate in the forward line to get a winning score, which I think was really, really good. And then if we look at the whole first 2 weeks of the season, just that spread of goal kickers I really liked. So the first 2 weeks, we kicked 23 goals. 17 of those 23 goals came from 3 players. That's Chloe Molloy, Holly Cooper, Montana Ham. And this week alone, 7 different people hit the scoreboard, which I really liked. And then the other number that, not such a good stat, around the ground, we broke even at stoppage clearances. It was 16-16 around the ground. Ali Morfitt was really strong in the ruck, especially around the ground. But out of the centre, we lost 12-4. Which is a big differential. So that might be something that they're going to look at. It didn't cost us the game, fortunately, but it's a big advantage to be giving out the centre.
Yeah, and I think maybe the big difference there was having Malloy up around the ball, which I really enjoyed having her in the guts of the field. I think it showed real leadership when we were under the pump, having her up there, having a bit of a steadier in the centre. And then, as you said, unfortunately, Sparkus is just such a gun in the centre. I think she snaked a lot of the hit outs from our lovely Morfitt, which then later in the game, I loved it. Morfitt was actually our highest clearance winner for our team. She just got sick of it. She was like, you know what? I'll do it. I'll take it off my own bat. I'll do the 18 hit outs, and I'll take 6 of those as clearances. Thank you very much. As well as 9 marks across the ground, which was huge, especially in the last quarter. She took a pack mark over the top of about 3 people, which is really nice, steadier.
That one in the forward pocket, by the 50, that was that was a massive mark.
A massive mark. So yeah, just having her winning those, Malloy around the ball who could just scrap and fight, and there were some passages that were quite scrappy, but I think that made a difference. Chloe might not have got our goals, but she definitely helped it get forward into our forwards. And I just wanted to shout out as well to Cooper. I thought she had an amazing game. I've nearly put her in my top 3. I still might. She's become a really integral part of that forward lineup. She just seems like she's really matured up there, was using her body well, protecting that ball drop on a more experienced player. Took some really amazing forward 50 marks, as well as relieving our defensive 50. And then that big tackle on Nina Morrison, and then the handball off to Ham for her running goal. So I just wanted to do a shout out for her as well.
Yeah, she was great. I mean, we'll go to the best players later, but actually, while we're talking about tackles, I might just add one. It was also in the final part of the game, that one that Cynthia Hamilton does at half forward with about 3 minutes left. And I talked before about the running clock, and this tackle happened about a minute before the running clock stops and it goes to the fully timed clock. And she just drilled the Geelong player. She saw she was going to pick up the ball, and she corralled her, she waited, and then she just nailed her. And that takes about 30 seconds off, because by the time you tackle someone, you drive them over the boundary line, the ball comes back in. It's a solid 30 seconds in the game where you've got, less than 200 seconds left on the clock. And that sort of stuff makes a huge difference. And just the awareness of the game too, to know that, okay, the right thing to do here is to get this person over the boundary line, which is going to give us time and help us get players down here, gives a bit more time and can lock the ball in. There was so many efforts like that. match, but especially I think the awareness in the last quarter of knowing what the state of the game was and the types of percentage players to take. We saw that from so many of the players.
Yeah, really smart play. And we've said it every week. You don't want to be tackled by Cynthia Hamilton. RRD, we love her. I think she's great. She did a couple of the tackles and just her celebration as well, which we might talk about later. Any other big plays for you?
The other one, you've sort of mentioned this a little bit, but it wasn't necessarily a big play. It was more just a big effort in those last couple of minutes again. And I know I'm harping on the last few minutes of the game, but that's when it was really on the line. And that's when, big moments stand taller and they sort of speak bigger in a way. Ali Morfitt in those last 2 or 3 minutes, I think she had that mark that you really talked about. She took another strong mark from a defensive kick coming out from inside deep out 50, which helped us hold the ball up and bring it up the wing. And then she also won a hit out and a clearance all in one at the same time, like maybe a minute later. So when you look at players who stand up when there's only a goal in the game, that was such a massive effort. So that for me, I think I've watched back that last 5 minutes or so 3 or 4 times now, and every single time, like, wow, if she doesn't do this here, then probably they're going to clear the ball, or they're going to bring it to ground, or they're going to get a repeat inside 50. So some really big moments from her.
Yeah, and they were showing that they could play end-to-end footy. So,
Yeah.
it was a good game. My big play was probably Hurley, just the whole day, especially from the second quarter to the fourth quarter. But one thing in particular, there was a kick out from Zippy to a big pack, and McAvoy got the ground boy get front and centre, kicked it long into space in front of Hurley. And then just her presence of mind. She could see that opposition defender coming out to meet her. She takes the ball, spins, composes herself, balance, kicks long to our lovely Cynthia Hamilton. Goal. It's just for someone so young, she's so composed. She's so great with that football in hand. I think she was kicking out 71% disposal efficiency, and that against a team that's applying that kind of pressure is pretty impressive. And she just stood up. She took it on her shoulders and said, "Come on, girls, fight to the very end." So,
Yeah, and like you said, the sort of touches she's getting a lot of the time too. It's not like she's getting it like in a lot of space. She's often getting the footy in traffic under immense pressure, and 71% efficiency is pretty good.
yeah.
And then you've got one. I'll make sure that you get to do this one. You've got one marked here. A moment.
Yep.
Go on.
TK's first goal.
Hey.
Woohoo! And she just looked so excited as well.
Yeah,
She
it
looked
was great.
surprised, but pretty excited. And it came off a handball from Malloy and just a snap around the corner. So pretty memorable first goal for your AFLW, and she deserves it. She works so hard, and Bevy favourite.
Yeah, absolutely. And she was so good in that game, just generally, like the defensive work that she does. But then she's one of these people who plays a defensive role, but also takes her own game. And they're the worst. If you're a midfielder, if someone's just only going to try and stop you, then okay, you can sort of whatever.
Take 'em
It's
around the
unpleasant,
park.
but yeah, exactly. Just to take them for a run, take them to the forward pocket, make them uncomfortable, do something. Get a teammate to run the occasional block. But then when it's someone like Kennedy that, she's going to come at you and she's going to be in your face and she's going to try and stop your game, but then she gets her 15, 20 touches herself. And so you've constantly got to be worried about what she's going to do when she gets the footy, because she works so effectively as a link player and bringing other people into the game. And often I look at her stats, and she's one of those players who I don't necessarily notice during the game, because it's often when the ball's in quite rapid movement that she's getting her hands on it. And then you look at the stats like, wow, okay, she got like 20 touches in this match and she's done really well.
Yeah, and she does. She always manages to get it out and get it into a good position, even if it's just a quick little small handball. And then we talk about the players who can use both sides of the body. They can just open a game up, and she's one of the few who can kick on left and right. So, she's a little weapon for us. And everyone knows that she's one of my favourites. So I've got to always say good things about TK to the end of time.
She was great, and relatively new to footy too, I think, is the other thing that we maybe forget. You watch her She's fairly recently come into the game, especially at this level, and the standard she's playing at is incredible.
Yeah. Train on player to AFL star.
Absolutely.
All right.
Should we jump then into the best players since we've talked about half of them already? Let's get our votes and
Yep.
we can argue
And
about who's best, because I think we mostly agree looking at the sheet here, but we don't entirely agree. So maybe you can go first. Who's your 3, 2, 1?
3 this week to Hurley. We've just talked her up so much, just her work across the park. And as you said, just her work rate. She was in the chains up the field, like she would kick, run up the guts, be the third one in line again to get another disposal and send it in our forward 50. So 27 disposals, 3 marks. Surprisingly, no tackles, but just what she did for our game. Hurley won, Morford, huge. Just same thing. Worked her buttocks off around that park. She covered so much ground, took incredible marks, important marks, and got us the taps down to Prasparkas, but occasionally herself. And then third for Molloy, particularly just her leadership on the ground, and then coming in clutch with that goal in the fourth when we really needed it. Just gave us some breathing space. How about you?
Yeah, I have the same 3 players actually, but I had 1 and 2, or like the 3 votes and the 2 votes around the other way. So yeah, with Chloe Malloy, yeah, definitely. I think, and like you said before, that role that she played in the midfield was so important in that game, because she brought some experience around the ball, and she was there at key moments as well. And a lot of her defensive acts, I think with Chloe Malloy, because she's such a gun with the footy, and we're used to seeing her, do game-breaking plays and kick goals and stuff, which she does because she's one of the elite players in the competition. But a lot of her defensive work as well. And I was watching, especially on the replay during the game, like while it's live. It's a bit stressful. I don't really pay so much attention because I'm too busy screaming and bothering the neighbours. But when it comes to the replay, I can sort of sit and I rewatched the game last night as we're getting ready for today's chat, and so then when you watch the replay, you can focus on other things because you're not so caught up in the moment. And I was especially watching some of Chloe Malloy's defensive work around the ball, and like her blocking, her tackling, her shepherding, her corralling, all of these things are also elite. And I think this is a difference between the very, very best players in any sport, really, is that, yeah, they do the stuff which looks good on a camera, but they're also very, very good at the stuff which no one's ever going to give them a Brownlow bloody best on ground medal for in their life. It's not going to happen. But yeah, no one ever got best on ground in the comp because they were the best shepherder. But she is the best player in the comp, and she does it.
Yep.
Yeah.
She brings the other players into the game.
Yeah, totally. So I agree with you on Chloe. That's my very long way of saying that I think Chloe had a great game. But yeah, Alan said I wanted to give best to both of them, honestly. But I ended up going with Ali Morford just because, and I talked about this a bit already, just the presence that she had, and like the physical presence, like the absolute dominance. She took 9 marks on the ground, which I think was the most on the field.
Yep.
No, I'm checking the stats list now. Yeah, she got 9 marks, which is the most on the field. She got 6 clearances, which you said before was the most for the Swans, and we had 22 clearances, and she's got a quarter of them, or over a quarter of them. She dominated hitouts as well. She made tackles. She made 4 tackles. That's 1 a quarter. That's a lot that you'd expect from a ruck. And had 23 touches on top of it. And if you're into fantasy footy, Ali had. Well, actually, no, I'm just looking at the fantasy numbers now. Wow. Okay, so we were very close.
I think Hurley got that.
Yeah, they're very close. Yeah, Ali had those. She just snuck her. She had 121, and Sophia got 117. So there you go. And actually, wow. Okay, so we got the top 3, and Chloe got 96. They were the 3 best for the Swans.
Okay, at least we're following trend.
Yeah, so fantasy scores agree with us on this week. But yeah, I had Ali first. So maybe when it comes to deciding the votes, the middle, Chris will have to come in. He's away this week. We'll have to come in with a tie-breaking decision so we know who to give the 3 points to. Or we can try and agree on it. That's the other option.
We can try. Look, I think I took it away from you last week saying Malloy couldn't get the win with 7 goals.
Yeah, I listed
So
all
you
of the
know
teams
what?
in the comp that she beat last week.
On
There's
her
like
own foot.
13 teams on her own. This week, I don't think she beat. Or maybe the North game where they won by 100. What did Freo get? 40? No, she didn't. No, because they got 14 points. I think. No, she didn't even beat North. Beat Freo this week. Oh,
Yeah.
well.
So I think we'll give it to Morford. I'll hand it over this week.
Oh, thank you.
Seems to we got the same 3. I mean, they were as tight as what you just said. How many points between AFL fantasy?
Four fantasy points. That's
4
one tackle, I
fantasy
think.
points.
I think a tackle's worth 4. Oh, I'm pretty sure it's worth 4 for a tackle. I think a mark is worth 3. So yeah, it was a tackle different. And you said Sophia didn't make any tackles, did she?
She didn't
Early.
make any tackles.
One
She did
tackle and
get
they would
more
have been even.
disposal.
Yeah,
You don't need to tackle if you're the one with the ball in the hand.
that's a
No, that's not
very
true.
good point.
I'm all for tackling.
Yeah, I love tackles. Yeah, so
Yeah. All
especially
right.
growing up in a rugby league heartland on the Central Coast, I love the tackling. So
All right.
yeah,
Morford 1, Hurley 2, Malloy 3.
okay. So
Cool.
where are we? Where are we up to? What's the ladder like after all of that? We're third. We stay in third, 3-0 with 202%, and North Melbourne got up to first with 504%.
Took over Melbourne.
Yeah, that's a huge percentage. I mean, they've handed out a couple of thrashings in the first few weeks, North. Yeah, and they've got Freo and then Collingwood. Do you want to take us through this week? Because we've got Fremantle in a few days, or just under a week.
We do. We've got Freo at our, what did we call it last year? The heart of Henson Park.
Yes.
At 1:05 p.m. on Sunday, this Sunday, at Hanson Park. We'll take on Freo. They've had 1 win and 2 losses. I mean, they did beat Port by 22 points, but they then got smashed at home by Brisbane and the Roos. We do have Kiara Bowers back after the birth of their second child, and she's just a gun and a machine that can run all day and cause some ruckus. And then Bella Smith as well, and Mim Strom, the AA ruck, and Docker's Best and Fairest in 2024. So each week, we're never going to, say this is going to be an easy game. And, sometimes we can see, like the Cats, that it doesn't always match up to how they're playing or how good they can be. And definitely when you are 2 losses, you want to come out and get those back, get some points back. And, we're 3 wins up, just can't get complacent. Can't think that any game's going to be an easy game. So, yeah. Any thoughts for you on that game coming up?
I'm really looking forward to the matchup in the ruck. Ali Morfitt gets to take on, and Ali Morfitt missed most of last year. She gets to take on the All Australian ruck. Their Dockers reigning best and fairest, Mimstrom. I'm really looking forward to that one. It's always nice to see. You mentioned Bella Smith. It's always nice to see ex-Swans running around. I know every fan's different, but I'm not really one of those Swans fans that turns my back on our ex-players once they've left. I still follow them and I want to see how they're going and stuff. Especially if they're a bit of a favourite, just like Bella Smith was, just like Ella Heads is over at Port. But I'm especially looking forward to looking at that All Australian ruck matchup, because what that really is, because Ali won the All Australian the year before, so it's the last 2 years of All Australian rucks up against each other. So really excited to see that. And yeah, I agree with you. Like it's hard to know what Fremantle we're going to get, because they've been smashed the last 2 weeks, but they got smashed by Brisbane, and they were both at home, as you said. They got done by Brisbane by 70 points. Brisbane going to belt a lot of teams this year. They did have a disappointing and fairly unexpected loss on the weekend. Brisbane, they've been a bit up and down. Brisbane, but then North Melbourne are just going to rampage a lot of teams. So I don't know what I take from getting thrashed by North Melbourne by 100 points. Like, sure, you don't want to lose like that, and I don't think that the Swans in their present state would lose to North by 100 or to Brisbane by 70 at home. I don't think that we would. I don't necessarily think we'd beat those teams, but I don't think we get rampaged by them. So that's a bit of a difference in maybe where the two teams are at. But then they beat Port in the first round in Adelaide by 20 odd points. So I
Yeah,
don't know what to make of them. I mean, I think we'll see what happens when they turn up. Kiara Bowers back in is a
a
massive
big
in.
change.
Like that's like one of the absolute elite
Yep.
athletes ever to come out of Western Australia that is getting back into some form after being out for a season. So I don't think it's going to be a walkover based on their two previous results. I really don't. I think they'll be competitive. I think they'll be stinging after that. Like they're not going to be happy with getting
Mm.
trounced like that 2 weeks in a row at home. They're going to be furious, and they'll be on the road. There's probably not much pressure on them because the Swans have started well. I think a lot of people are probably going to expect the Swans to come out and beat them by whatever margin. And so Frio's got nothing to lose. They can just throw it at the Swans, I think. So I'd expect a fired up Fremantle.
Yep, same. I feel like it's going to be a really unpredictable game.
Mm.
And we've got here any changes. We talked about Beck Privatelli and Martin last week. What do you think about this week? Does Martin stay or do we get Priv back in?
Because we sort of went back and forth on this last week as well, didn't we? And the three of us all ended up thinking, yeah, Martin stays in and probably Beck misses out again. Yeah, because there's this one and there's another one that I'm sort of wondering about too. Besides these two,
Yep.
I mean, Martin, she wasn't as visible as she was in the Gold Coast game. Like, definitely not. And that was a very different type of game. Like as a forward, the ball was coming in a lot. We kicked 15 goals in that game.
Yeah.
This was a different type of game against Geelong. So without really knowing what the coaches are expecting of her, it's hard to know. I mean, based on her stat line, you'd think, okay, maybe, but then maybe she was doing her job and they were very happy with what she was doing. So I'm still a coin flip on that one that whoever gets named, I wouldn't be surprised either way. Yeah, how about you, Jen, with that one? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Didn't really see Martin in that game, but yeah, it's a 50-50. It is. We'd love to be in that locker room and know what they're looking for. And, Prev's brought it for years. So does she get to come back in and show how much fire she's got in her belly after not playing for a week? That can happen for players. They want to prove themselves again, and we know that she's a dead kicker, and especially at Hanson, she knows where those sticks are. She's played there for several seasons and understands the wind there. I think there was a game last year. It was super windy, and she kicked this amazing one from the pocket at the Moore car park end. So I think I'd bring Priv back in for this game. Personally.
Okay. Yeah, and they name the teams on a couple of days still. This will come out probably a day before the teams come out, so you won't have the info yet as you're listening.
Yeah.
But the other one I was wondering about is Lexi Hamilton. We still haven't seen her this year. She's been named as an emergency, so that suggests that she's fit. But we haven't seen her. Like, what do you reckon about her?
Yeah, as you said earlier, Reed's been doing a good work, but I love seeing the sisters out there together. I'm going to say, bring Lexi in for this game. Let's get fired up. I mean, we didn't even talk about that. The girls getting fired up in the game on the weekend. Bit of a melee on the wing with McAvoy and Zippy pushing and shoving a little bit there and getting in people's face. But yeah, let's get the double sister act for the weekend. Sorry, Reed. What do you reckon?
Well, I think so too. And it gets to a point where in a 12-game season, you don't want to be potentially, and I know that I'm getting ahead of myself, but you don't want to potentially be going to a finals campaign with only your best 21 or 22 having much top-level experience. So I think it's got to be a bit of thought about maybe squad rotation. Maybe they don't think that way. Maybe they just want to play their best every week. I don't know. But yeah, you don't want them sitting too long on the sidelines if they're players that you might hope to call on later in the year. Because we will get injuries. I mean, right now the bill of health is very, very clean, but it won't stay that way. It never does. So yeah, I agree. I wouldn't mind seeing a couple of changes come in this week for those two. And not because the players that are getting out have done a bad job, but just because we've got very good players that aren't playing footy at the moment.
Yeah, you're so right. There's nothing like match fitness. So sometimes you need those hits and the run around and the burn in the lungs to keep that fitness and game awareness up.
Yeah, you don't want to all of a sudden have to call on like Lexi in a cutthroat game in round 11, which we need to win to make the finals, and she hasn't played at the top level for 3 months. What do you reckon? How are we going to go? What's your thoughts, Jen? We didn't do predictions last week. We swayed away from it. We all agreed actually off air afterwards that we reckon we'd all probably win by a goal or two, and that was right. But that was quite optimistic. I think we were all a bit unsure that we might win or we might not. And this week, what do you reckon? We're going to put it on the record.
I know we just said it's going to be unpredictable, but I'm going for a big win again. Win by 50.
Ooh, 50.
Yep.
50. Oh, that's what we scored this week, wasn't it? So that's what we scored against Geelong. I'm not that bold, but I do think we'll get a win, and I do think that because I always look at like when I'm trying to predict the game, because you don't know what else is going to happen. But if the Swans are at the best we've seen from them this year, and Freo are also at the best we've seen from them this year, then what do I think would happen? And I think that we'd probably win each quarter by about a goal. So that's me thinking like 20, 25, let's say 25-point win.
Okay.
That's what I reckon.
Right.
Yeah, so you've got them winning by, and 50 sounds a bit outrageous, but when you think about it in the context of a match, that's actually really only winning each quarter by 2 goals. So that's 3 goals to 1 quarters times 4. It's actually not that outlandish.
And after the Suns game, I believe in the girls. Come on, girls.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. We've got a few other things to chuck out. First of all, it's down at Henderson Park. It's Indigenous round this week, so get down and get amongst that. But then last week we failed to be aware that that Brenna Tarrant was playing her 50th game, and she had to remind us in the interview we did with her. So if you haven't listened to that, you can go and check that out. It's up there with all the other episodes. You can hear us not realizing it was Brenna's 50th, which was a bit embarrassing. But we're not going to let that happen again. So we've devised a system. We've got a spreadsheet now tracking all of the matches of the season, Jen, and I've got a surprise question for you, which I'm going to ask you in a sec, which I haven't put on the run sheet. So, yeah, I kept it to myself. But Darcy Maloney, I mean, it's only going to be her 4th game as a Swan, assuming she's playing, but she'll play her 50th game of AFLW, which is a really big achievement for her. And you can see the experience in her on the field. I mean, she just gets it done.
Yeah, experience and the passion. Like, I loved her goal celebration after getting the ball off Malloy in the pocket, and the commentators weren't backing her in. Come on, half. And then she absolutely slots it, and just her celebration. I was like, oh, we light that fire. That was a great stir for the girls. And then we've got here as well our lovely Zippy Fish. Round 2 Rising Star nomination. Like, what an absolute gun that kid is. We are just enjoying the way she goes about it. It's so much fun watching her play. She's great.
Incredible. I'd forgotten, honestly, like that she's a 3-game player at the top level. Like, because I just watched the game, because she just does her job every week and she does it so well. And I was just looking at her stats. She's averaging 25 touches a week in the AFLW after 3 weeks, and they want to put the ball in her hand. Like the fact that in the final moments of that Geelong game, they trusted a 3-game player to take a kick in that sort of situation. It tells you everything about how they see her her football head and her skills. So she's incredible, Zippy. Yeah, I really forget that I'm watching someone who's just come into the comp.
She'll be up there in the whole league's best Bob medals, I think. Best on ground.
Definitely.
Just like energy as well. That run down the wing in the 4th corner to drive the ball forward, and she just backs herself, and the girls back her in, and she's got the skills to go with it. So she'll be a name around the Swans for a very, very long time. We all hope.
Yeah, too right. Yeah, my niece has been watching all the games. She's 10 years old, and she loves Zippy Fish. She's already one of her favourite players. So she's got the fans. She's got the commentators. Everyone's loving her. But 3 games. So talking of games still, Zippy's played 3 games. I wanted to ask you, Jen, I have a question for you, because I've now got this beautiful Excel sheet to track so we don't miss any more 50-game milestones for any of the players.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there's
Yep.
a couple more pending. There's like 2 or 3 others who could potentially hit the 50 this year. So I've got them all on a tracker now, so we don't bugger it up.
Okay.
Again, but I was in the context of doing that. I was looking at 2 things, like overall games, but then I started looking at just how many games have been played for the Swans, and the Swans have been playing. Well, this is the 4th season now, right? Yeah, 4th season. With the Swans in the AFLW, and there's been 36 Swans games played so far. One player has played every one of those 36 games. Do you know who it is?
I think it would either be BT or McAvoy.
Well, you got second with BT. McAvoy is... No, she's further down because she missed the first season. She didn't come in until season 2.
Of
So
course,
she's down the
she's
list. She's on
Carlton.
26 out of 36, but she's played every game
I
since she
know
came in.
that. I was down there with Carlton with her.
But yeah, she missed the first season, which was good because we lost. Maybe if she'd been there, we wouldn't have lost 0 and 10 that year. Who knows? But no. So Brenna Tarrant, correct? She's second on the list. She's got 35 out of 36 games for the Swans. But number 1 is 36 clean, and you've been talking her up already today. I'll throw a hint.
Is it my favourite?
No, but she is also
Up
equal
there.
with Lucy on the list, actually, on 26. Yeah.
She was. I don't know. I give in.
It's Sophia Hurley, 36 games straight. Yeah, from debut. So she hasn't missed a game since she played her first match. 36 for the Swans, and she hasn't missed a Swans game, which is pretty incredible.
She's going to be she's going to be the crisp of this Swans women's team, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some crazy record of the amount of games played
It is.
consecutively. Yeah. Come on.
So I'll read out the
Yes,
top 10.
Hurley. Okay.
So these are the top 10. A couple of them are gone, or actually already, but Sophia Hurley is the top, and then Brenna Tarrant. Cynthia Hamilton's next. She's only missed 2 for the Swans. Ella Heads has only missed the 3 this year. Otherwise, Ella Heads had also played every one. Beck Privatelli is on 32. Lexi Hamilton, the 2 we talked about maybe bringing back in, are both 5 and 6 on that list. And then we've got Brooke Lachlan, Lisa Steen, Bella Smith, who are all gone. And then Montana Ham is 10th, 27. Then it's McAvoy, Kennedy, Gardner's there, Elise Mitchell, Ali Morfitt, etc. So it's quite a list. And by the end of the season, this is the thing of it only being 4 seasons so far, so it's quite easy to catch up over the course of a season. By the end of the season, I think most of the top 10 will be current players, like active players, except probably Heads. I think Heads will probably stay in there for the whole year.
Heads.
Yeah.
She's always welcome back. Exactly as you said with Bella, who will be playing this weekend, which would be nice for the 2 girls to see each other. Well, we don't know if she's playing. We don't know the list. But, yeah, everyone's always welcome back. Once a blood, always a blood.
That's right.
Yep. All right. Any more fun questions for me off the bat?
No, that was it. I'll save them for maybe next week.
All right. So that wraps it up for this week. Get down to Hanson on Sunday for a great day of footy. So up the blood and can you Swanee?
This podcast is an independent fan-run production and is in no way affiliated with the Sydney Swans Football Club, its players, or the AFL. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect those of the Sydney Swans or any official organisation. All commentary is intended for entertainment and discussion purposes.